I just wanted to come on here and say I'm sorry. I voted for him, and I thought he was going to make things better for folks like us.
Get them legal status somehow.
Now, before we get going, this gentleman here is in the construction business in Florida. He goes by the name of Honest Hammer on TikTok, so I will just refer to him as Hammer. But he made this video in response to what he himself is witnessing on the construction sites that he's a part of in regards to the undocumented immigrants who are working on those construction sites with him. Let's hear what he has to say.
I've seen a lot of the videos, and it seems like a lot of people are just yelling and they're mad. I don't understand why this is happening. I don't understand it either. It's not what I voted for.
But this is what you voted for. You may not have been aware of what you were voting for, but this is what you voted for. If you look back at the first Trump administration, he had every immigrant that was here under TPS, the temporary protective status, at risk for deportation. He had the whole TPS program at risk. But that's on you to either remember or go look and seek out yourself the past actions of the president. Because if you're only watching right-wing media, no one over there is going to tell you anything about that. That's why it's so important that we break out of our echo chambers.
I voted for the criminals to be removed, 100%. But there are a lot of hardworking immigrants in this country that are building this country. Going back to when I started building the Hard Rock, 85% probably immigrants. All hardworking people providing for their families. Talk to them, get to see their kids on their phones, hear them all interact, have great days, loving what they do.
Because they're people. They're people. And if we're stuck in our echo chambers, the right-wing echo chamber has made you believe that they're criminals.
I've got a solution. The solution, President Trump, is to not deport these gentlemen right away, these hardworking gentlemen and women that have been removed from these job sites. Get them legal status somehow, under a work visa, background check them, do whatever you need to do to make sure they're not criminals, but let's get them legalized.
Hammer, we had a chance to do that. We actually had many chances to do that. One chance we had was in the run-up to the election in 2024. There was a bill ready for a vote, a bipartisan bill. It would have provided massive amounts of funds for new technology to have at the border, for new enforcement officers to be hired, for new immigration judges to be appointed, and the courts expanded to process asylum claims faster. Donald Trump torpedoed that bill because he was more interested in having the issue to run on than the problem solved. But that wasn't our only chance. We had a couple more chances too.
Oh, Florida. You in danger, girl. First off, I am from Florida. I grew up there. I went to UCF.
Yeah, we voted for Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. We live in the Florida Panhandle, and we thought that this would be good for our business, but we're finding out now that we were wrong, and I want to publicly say that we are regretting our votes at this point. My husband and me own a construction company, and we literally do not have workers anymore. Most of our workers are from Mexico, and they're good, hard workers. I talked to a few of them, and they said they were just too scared to come back to work because of all the raids. Our construction company is likely to go out of business now, and we don't know what we're going to do, but we're never voting for a Republican again. Ron DeSantis and Trump have been passing laws that negatively affect our business, and I just want to say that I'm sorry for voting for him. I grew up Republican, and it's all I've ever known, but now I can see that me and my whole family have been very wrong about this. So we hope that 2026 comes and we can take back the House and the Senate and stop him from what he's doing. There's a special election coming up in Matt Gaetz's district, and we're going to do everything we can to advocate for a Democrat taking that seat.
I was a Trump supporter. I don't know how long I can keep doing this. I have a construction company, and not a fucking thing is getting done. This is what I get. This is what I fucking get. Nothing but white boys. Takes 4 days to do a one-day job. I might have fucked up.
Florida is now experiencing a complete collapse. Over the next 3 years, you will see housing prices on the East Coast and the West Coast and the south of Florida drop 30 to 40% over the next 3 years. It's that dire in Florida. And what's causing it all? People are moving out. People simply can't afford to live in Florida. And many people can't afford to fix their homes from the latest storms. It's only going to get worse. If you have property to sell in Florida, you better hurry. You better aggressively get it done. Because over the next 3 years, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. It's going to make the 2008 crash look like a picnic. So what is going on right now? You're seeing mass exodus of people leaving Florida in droves because it's simply not affordable. Insurance is too high. HOA is too high. Everything is too high. And even with the prices coming down, it's not going to matter. Nothing is going to save Florida at this point except for a 30 to 40% drop, because it's just too expensive to live there, and the economics aren't there. Like and follow for more. We'll be talking about it for a long time.
Florida beaches are empty because racism don't pay the bills. Now, those beaches and businesses are empty in Florida, and the business owners are scratching their head. They're like, I don't understand what's happening and why this is going on. This is what happens when you build your entire platform on bigotry and fear. When you spend years attacking immigrants, the very people who visit your state, spend money in your hotels, eat at your restaurants, buy your tacky-ass beach towels. Don't act shocked when they stop showing up. And understand, it's not just tourists who aren't coming to Florida. When you squeeze the working class like a lemon, there is no juice left for joy. You think people got beach money right now? People can't even afford to go outside. And all those Trump tariffs, those weren't on corporations. Those were Trump taxes on us. Prices went up, jobs got cut, and now folks are choosing between groceries and gas, not plane tickets to Clearwater. And y'all made Florida a hostile environment, honestly. And not just for immigrants, but also for black people, LGBTQ, teachers, hell, even librarians. Y'all made the beach a battleground. So now it's just you and those overpriced souvenir stands collecting dust. And now conservative business owners are mad. But they're mad at the consequences of the policies that they voted for. Baby, this ain't karma. This is cause and effect. Conservative policies destroy communities, period. So ask yourself, how long are you guys going to continue to vote against your own business?
I love Disney World, and I also escaped as quickly as I possibly could. If you have been wondering which states are going to get hit the hardest by these healthcare cuts, you guessed it, Florida is at the top of the list. Home of Governor Rambo, where you have 2 Republican senators and 20 of your 28 House of Representatives are Republicans. You effed around, and now you are going to find out. Let's jump into the data. You know the one thing that Florida ranks last in this country? They rank last in the number of residents who are on employer-funded healthcare at 40%. You might be inclined to argue with me and say, well, that's probably because there is one single head of household who is on employer-funded healthcare coverage, and the rest of their family is also on that healthcare coverage. No, the data does not agree with you. An estimated 4.7 million Floridians are on ACA Obamacare Marketplace insurance, representing 27% of the under 65 population. The national average is 8.8%. Was ACA perfect? No, there's not a single educated American who would say that it was perfect. Was it better than your premium skyrocketing? Yeah, I think so. Let's zoom in and look at Holmes County, Florida, just south of the border of Alabama, where in the 2024 general election, they voted for Donald Trump with 89.9% of their vote. You aggressively voted for this, Holmes County, Florida. In 2024, for individuals, the average cost of ACA Advantage Silver Premium Insurance for Holmes County, Florida, earning less than $35,000 per year was $312 per month. With the ACA subsidies in place and factoring in healthcare inflation, that number was anticipated to rise to $349 per month in 2026, an increase of around 11% in costs. But you voted for these subsidies to go away, and now your cost is $680 per month. That is an increase of 118%. It turns out that racism is very expensive.
People are fucking leaving. Like, we're all leaving. Rachel and I are leaving. Like, we can't fucking...
Please watch his entire video. It shows you just the frustration of so many people in Florida, and how so many people in Florida, it's not reported in the news, it's not really talked about, but there are thousands and thousands of people preparing and getting ready to leave because Florida has just gotten ridiculously expensive, and it's number one. Yeah, Florida's number one in inflation in the country. That's right. Florida is number one in inflation. So here's a guy explaining how much it used to just cost to rent a small place, and it's more than doubled. And going to the grocery store is ridiculous. But just living all around Florida when you're number one in inflation, it's just one thing after another, after another, after another. And I have so many friends that live down in Florida, and many of them are just like, it's just too much. It's just gotten to be too much. We've had enough. We're moving out. So expect over the next couple of years a huge migration out of Florida. Yeah, you may still get some of the rich folk going down there, but the average Joe, no, the average Joe's leaving.
Ron DeSantis and his hate-filled agenda, which of course is also being pushed by the Republicans in the Florida State House. They have solid control of this state and have for many decades now. But this agenda of hate is costing the state economy here in Florida billions of dollars already. Here's what's happening. Two conventions that were supposed to bring in literally thousands and thousands and thousands of tourists to the state of Florida have canceled. There was a women's technological leadership conference that was supposed to bring in 16,000 people due to Florida's mainly the 6-week abortion ban, but also they mentioned every other hate-filled piece of legislation that DeSantis has signed, so they've pulled out. A nurses convention has pulled out of this state, robbing us of thousands of people, spending probably thousands of dollars. And of course, we cannot forget the fact that Disney shut down a multi-billion-dollar planned project that would have brought a couple thousand high-paying jobs to the state of Florida. So we're being robbed of future economic activity.
You cannot drive workers away and still expect housing projects to be completed on schedule. You also cannot make tourists feel unwelcome and continue expecting hotels to remain fully booked. You cannot push the cost of living so high that families have to choose between paying rent and buying groceries, then act surprised when they pack their belongings and move somewhere else. There's nothing mysterious about it. The numbers simply no longer add up. Look at the issue through the most basic principles of how the market works. Hotels need guests. Restaurants need customers walking through their doors. Construction projects need workers showing up consistently every day. When policies cause customers, workers, and families to live in fear, the damage does not stop with the people being targeted. The entire local economy is dragged down as well. This is not some complicated political theory. It is simply how every business operates, from a small local shop to a major corporation. Ironically, the people who often pay the highest price are the very same people who once voted in favor of those policies. They are small business owners, working families, and people who believed their vote would make them feel safer. But in the end, what they received was largely political theater, while the real financial pressure landed directly on their bank accounts and household budgets. Every action creates a reaction. Every vote also has consequences. And right now, Florida is learning that lesson more clearly with each passing day. Think about a small construction company that has stayed in business for years because of a hard-working and dependable team. Now imagine that nearly half of those workers are too afraid to come to work because they fear enforcement raids may take place in their neighborhoods. The job sites immediately become understaffed. Projects begin falling behind, and completion dates keep getting pushed further back. Meanwhile, loan payments, equipment costs, insurance premiums, and commercial rent still have to be paid on time. The business owner begins wondering how a policy they once strongly supported has come back to threaten their own company and their family's source of income. This is no longer an isolated situation. It is gradually becoming a normal part of everyday life. Even so, there is one thing that gives me hope. More and more people are beginning to recognize what is actually happening. We have heard them speak for themselves in this video. Some business owners have publicly admitted that they misjudged the situation. Workers are making it clear that they cannot continue living and working under this level of pressure. Even voters who have remained loyal to one political party for most of their lives are beginning to say that they can no longer support everything the way they once did. That kind of honesty is rare in politics. Admitting, "I was wrong," always takes a great deal of courage. When more people are willing to say those words, real change finally begins to take shape. Complaining privately to family members in your living room is one thing. Standing up and speaking publicly in front of your community, your neighbors, your co-workers, and your customers is something entirely different. That takes genuine courage. Every time one person is brave enough to speak out, they make it easier for the next person to admit that they may have misjudged the situation or been persuaded by promises that never produced meaningful results. That is how public attitudes change, not in one dramatic moment, but through one honest voice at a time. Fear can be an effective tool for winning votes during an election campaign. But fear cannot help a family pay its monthly bills. Fear cannot bring workers back to construction sites. It cannot fill restaurants with customers, and it cannot persuade tourists to book a return trip. Only policies that provide stability and improve the lives of ordinary people can produce those results. Until other places understand this lesson, we may continue to see the same pattern repeated. From one state to another, businesses weaken, the labor force shrinks, and communities lose increasingly important sources of revenue. Empty beaches are not always the result of bad weather. A hotel operating at only half capacity is not simply experiencing a run of bad luck. These are warning signs. The deeper cause is a long series of repeated decisions that have placed fear-based messaging above people's safety, stability, and dignity. When workers do not feel safe, they will not come to work. When families can no longer afford to live somewhere, they will move away. When tourists feel anxious or unwelcome, they will choose another destination. No local economy can grow sustainably when all three of these groups gradually disappear. Until that approach changes, it does not matter how many sunny days Florida enjoys. Sunshine alone cannot bring tourists, workers, businesses, or investment back. Beautiful scenery may attract attention, but sensible policies are what make people want to visit, stay, and invest. For more in-depth analysis of issues like this, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.